Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Velero community meeting and open discussion. Today is February 2nd, not 2nd, 2021. And yeah, we got some status updates and some discussion topics, I'm sure. So with that, let's get started. Carlisia.
Code review and addressing code reviews on my PRs. I'm making progress, but I'm going to push them today, promise. And I started doing code reviews of tiny, small, easy PRs, but I need to, there's just, it will require time to go through all the PRs we have. Yeah, that's one.
This one as well.
Yeah, I know what I need to do.
Okay. Do you need anyone else to review it with you?
No, just after I push, should be final changes, but I will definitely need a more, final reviews, more reviews.
Cool. Any questions, comments for Carlisia? All right, Bridget.
I feel like I have a very similar story to Carlisia. So I've been trying to work my way through some of the kind of the bigger PRs that are there. So I spent quite a bit of time last week reviewing Frankie's PR 3133, I think, and that's looking really good. But she's made some changes since, so I need to follow up and review that. I am also going to be starting on the PR4 restore progress, because that's one that I think, yeah, it's a bigger change. So I think I've been focusing on trying to get some of the easier ones through, so now I need to put more time and effort into the bigger ones. So I'll be doing that this week. Aside from that, been continuing on the multiple credential support. I have a couple of PRs which are up, which are kind of dependent. Well, they're kind of the initial work that I had done with regard to like refactoring some of the existing code and making some initial changes there. So I have more branches locally, and I'll push those once the PRs that they depend on are merged, just in case. I don't think there's any point in pushing them in case I need to, there are some significant changes that come out of those other PR reviews. And that's it, really.
All right, awesome. Any questions or comments for Bridget? All right, Dave.
Yeah, so let's see. So I have community support this week. So I've been going through the discussions and outstanding issues. Yeah, nothing too crazy going on there. Encourage everybody to make discussions for support requests. And then I've been working on a upload progress tracking design doc. We had some internal discussions about how that would work, and this would allow us to run the uploads in the background and monitor them as part of the backup. So hopefully be able to pull that together and actually push in the design as a PR this week. That's it for me.
Nice. So would that mean that we upload a backup while also taking other backups?
That would be the plan. So it's not going to work for Restic at first, because Restic is not really crash consistent at the moment. So we want to have those happen in the context of the backup. But we have other plugins that do background work, and we don't monitor that at the moment. And so we want to be able to monitor that and call that out, whether there's any failures as part of the backup, and be able to understand that the backup is actually completed and all of the data is moved to stable storage. And we should be able to push the uploads. The uploads currently happen in the background. We simply don't monitor them. And now we'll monitor them, but continue to let the next backup move forward and run.
Cool. That sounds great. Any questions, comments for Dave? All right. So update from me. We have a new website layout. I saw your comments, Carlisia. So I just want to show everyone kind of what the gist of this is. So the Velero website is using a template that we are using across a bunch of other open source projects. And we have hired a web design bureau to update the template. First of all, moving everything to Hugo, which we already did for Velero earlier this year or last year. So now all websites will be run on Hugo instead of Jekyll, which is super nice. But we didn't have to do that migration for Velero because we already did that 7 or maybe even 8 months ago. But we do have some updates in here, and I wanted to show you the what it looks like on the site, and then we can dig into your comments as well, Carlisia. So the first one I want to point out is the resources one. So we've cleaned up the resources, so it's no longer just a list of different resources, but actually showing like community meeting playlists, podcasts. So here's where we can add in even more recent content. We also talked about having the discussions kind of tie into this. So we want to see how that works as well with the shoutouts and the interesting resources piece there. Here are some external blog posts as well from other people. So that's the resources one. We've also updated the community page to look a little cleaner instead of just have a wall of text as well. So focus on, hey, GitHub, Slack, Twitter, and Google group with community meetings. So a little easier overview, I think. And then we also took a stab at the documentation. One thing that we did with the documentation is to make sure that it can be made wider properly. So the whole site itself actually widens up. So it's no longer locked to the very minimal width that it was locked to before. So we actually have more space for the text. That's something that we wanted. You might also notice that we have this table of contents here to the right instead of having it as we do currently here in the middle or in the beginning. We can have that to the right there. That also disappears if you make the window smaller or if you're on mobile. So it doesn't take up a lot of space. One thing we also added in here is simple edit and report issues links. So if you find an issue on this specific page, it will directly point to, hey, we got an issue here on page basic install, which is neat. And then also if you want to edit, we'll start an edit here. And of course, this will create a fork into your handle, and then you can create a PR, and it has a standard signed off by a DCO sign off here as well. So that's always there. So simple edits that we wanted to kind of clean up as well. One thing that we were investigating as well was the possibility of making these into not folders, but kind of foldable menus, because they are, it is pretty long. You have to scroll a bit depending on if you're zoomed in or not. Velero is still pretty small compared to several other open source projects where this menu goes on pretty much forever. I don't see the folding structure really necessary here, but we want it as an option for websites to kind of turn it on if we want to. Thoughts?
I know Bridget also left comments after my comments. Maybe she wants to bring them up. But I do have a comment. If you can go, the community page looks great.
Cool.
Perfect. The resource pages, I think if we could, the next iteration, an improvement, at least in my mind, is if we could have tabs across the top with the different sections, because if you think about it, if we have a bunch of we have more podcast shows with Velero team members than 2. In blog posts, for example, it's just untenable. If we had like a dedicated page for each section, it will improvements. or like a more dot and then a separate page dedicated for that. Although I think the tab solution would be way better.
Yeah, that's good feedback. The resources page isn't for all podcast shows and all external videos. It's for the ones that we want to feature, essentially. So I think
Yeah.
many of the other videos that we have down here are older now, and we can definitely find newer ones that might fit better in here. Same with the external blog posts. So
Yeah, that's a good point. We can have like a few, and then we have a space in the GitHub discussion now for featured things, so
yeah,
we can redirect people to there.
I think that would be a great idea. We could just add in a more here and link to GitHub discussions.
Yeah, I think we should keep like 3 of each tops at most, and then redirect there for everything else.
I think
So
that's really
and then
good.
like after we merge this, we can like revise and pick like 3 of the most up-to-date things that we have out there.
That sounds great. And then we'll add all of these over to the discussions board.
Yeah.
Cool. Bridget.
So I left a comment on the PR itself, but I think that I was just the main kind of point of my comment was kind of following on from what carlisia said about the kind of conditional rendering of the TOC page and when it should be rendered and when it shouldn't. So there's a couple of pages where there isn't a TOC, but then you still get the on this page and then it's kind of empty. So it's just making sure that we have some kind of conditional kind of check there to make sure whether it makes sense to have that part. But then also I wanted to ask about in the case where we have like a large TOC or just a TOC in general, should it be both at the top of the page and on the side? So I was just wondering, is that going to be like a follow-up to remove it from the top?
Yeah, so the plan is to remove it from the top because this is auto-generated by the different titles in here. So, and I think this has been auto-generated as well before, right? So we can remove that auto-generation because the website auto-generates it.
Cool. Yeah, that was kind of the main point. Other things that I mentioned was whether, although I think this is going to be an action for the maintainer team who have access to making changes to the actual repo itself, as to whether we could create like a specific issue template for this so that we could have some kind of action so that it gets like labeled correctly. So rather than just being a plain issue, we can then apply some labels and stuff to it as well. So that just helps us know where it's come from.
Yeah, I think when you create a label, can you add that to the link essentially? Or when you create an issue?
I think so, but I've noticed a few folks who've been opening PRs who haven't been able to apply labels to their PR. So I'm wondering if applying labels is a restricted thing based on permissions on the repo. So that's something I think that we need to look into and check the permissions there as to whether people who don't have kind of admin or maintainer permissions on the repo, whether they can apply labels to issues. So that's just something I think that, like I say, we need to look into.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, maybe because there isn't a way for me to label an issue here directly when I create it. So some conditional through GitHub Actions, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
so
if it has this text or something, label it as docs.
Yeah, because we've been we'd added a new link whenever creating a new issue to try and encourage people to use the GitHub discussions board. And just whenever I'd been looking in that, I'd seen some other kind of settings within GitHub issue creation and various other things. So I think, like you say, you can apply labels to the URL in the same way that you do with the body, but I don't know if that is a permissions-based thing. So that's just something that we need to experiment with and take a look at. But no, that as I said in the comment, that's something for us to look into. And I think what we have right now is still like a good approach. So we can always iterate on it and improve it later.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So Carlisia, do you want to hide the full TOC like on that page? Which one was it? Like this one, disaster case, when it doesn't have one at all. Do you want to hide this portion as well?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, Bridget?
Well, I think it might end up being inconsistent if we want to still have display those links to be able to report issues or
Definitely want to remove this part.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Yeah, no, yeah. I like the report issues. It's too bad it's tied with the table of contents, but I also don't see any other way.
Yeah, I mean, we could have it down, but down further, like at the bottom of a document or something like that, but that would make it look a little weird, I think.
Yeah.
Or we could have it up top, but then it kind of distracts from the rest of the text, I think, as well. So that's what kind of.
How about like
here.
upper left, right? I don't want to.
It is.
I don't want to do design. I don't want to do like bike shading. Let's move on.
Yeah. I think we can look at that later. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. We can make this better later.
Okay. Awesome.
Thanks, Jonas.
Yeah. So thank you for your feedback here. I'm definitely going to take this back to the design bureau and have them do those small updates there. Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions, comments on this one? Abby, any comments? Because you're doing docs and all of that.
On the design thing that you were just showing. Sorry. No, I think it looks really nice, and I think it could be really helpful. I think my only comment is to make it less of like a panel on the side and more of like a box, like to shorten the coloring on the bottom to make it maybe stand out a little bit more, or have like just have it be more like a box instead of a full panel, like to be shortened. So like under, yeah, just cut off the coloring there so it looks more like a box. I don't know if that would look better or not. I just know that in the examples in the PR that you linked, they all had it be more shortened instead of a full panel on the side. I think you are muted, Jonas. Sorry.
There we go. Yeah, I can absolutely ask for that. I'll talk to them today. Cool. Thank you. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to add to status updates before we move into discussion topics? All right, Pranav.
Yeah. So I made a few changes in the Velero describe command, and I was just using the default make build to create a new binary, and I don't think my changes took effect after building a new binary. So I was not sure if I'm missing something. Is there a doc which describes or an example shows how to build Velero CLI?
Pretty much just make. How are you running it, and where are you running it from?
I've been just running it on my Linux machine. So
right, you're running it out of the what is it, like the output directory?
Yeah.
Timestamps on the binary?
Yeah, I made sure it was a new binary.
Did you run make local, I suppose?
No, I just
local.
ran.
Yeah, run make local.
All right. Okay. Oh yeah. I may have missed that. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, if it output a new binary, it should have picked up your changes.
All right. Hope that helps. Anyone have any other discussion topics for today? All right. So Nolan was supposed to go through the roadmap this week. So we're aiming to do the roadmap and kind of go through the board and everything in the beginning of the month. But we'll do that next week instead. Kind of walk through where we're at and what we're working on. And no community shoutouts this week. Thank you, Carlisia, for running the script and checking. So with that, I'm going to give you, what is it, 37 minutes back. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome day.
I just got a quick question.
Sure.
You know when release 1.6 will be out?
I don't think we've got a firm date yet, so we'll probably figure that out and have that like maybe next week when we go through the roadmap.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. And with that, have a fantastic rest of the week, everyone. See you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.